there's a lot of good stuff in it, particularly given the political circumstances we're in right now. First of all, he's kept his commitment to investing in education. There's more money for K-12 education, more money for pre-K, a little bit more money for higher education. There's more money for human services, particularly in a couple of really critical areas, for intellectual disabilities, mental health, things like that. So on the spending side, there's some good stuff. In a lot of other areas of the budget, it's pretty austere. A lot of spending lines are flat funded, no increases. I'll talk more in a minute about how we look at all that. But at base, there are no cuts and some additions in important areas. Second good thing about this budget, he's made a real commitment to restructuring the government. And that's important for a couple of reasons. Whether we're Democrats or Republicans, liberals or conservatives, we want efficient government. We want a government that's responsive to people. We want a government that does a good job, that uses our money wisely. And the more we can create such a government, convince people that we have such a government, the more they will support the public sector and all the good that we think it does in the world. So the proposals to consolidate agencies to make them more responsive to people and save a little money, the proposals to accelerate the transition to the next generation of state employees, those are good proposals. I think they will save money without reducing services. If it's done in the right way, I think it'll make our government more efficient, won't cost many jobs, and the jobs it does cost will be at the top level, not the unionized workers whose work is so important to all of us. Third thing about this budget is that it raises revenues in the right way. We agree with Governor Wolf's commitment not to raise taxes on working people in the middle class. So there's some really good proposals to tax the people whose incomes have been going up over the last 20 years as opposed to the people whose incomes have been stagnant. There's a proposal to reform the corporate income tax, to close the Delaware loophole that's allowed 71% of corporations that operate in Pennsylvania to escape taxation. There's a proposal to create a severance tax on natural gas frackers. There are other little corporate reforms that in the tax system that will help bring in revenues that we so badly need. So that's another good element of the proposal. So we put those all together, it's a really good step. Now, is it perfect from our point of view? No. We believe that government has a really critical role to play, both in providing services and in supporting the nonprofit sector. We believe in spending a lot more money on education because that's a key to economic growth. We believe in spending more money on infrastructure because that's another key to economic growth. We believe in spending more money on human services because that protects the most vulnerable of us. And we believe that we really need to spend a lot more on protecting our air and water. And this budget doesn't take as bold steps as we'd like in that direction. And it doesn't raise taxes as much as it should from the top 1% and the top 5%, people whose incomes have been going up. And we need to tax them so we can have the spending we want. Now, in this political environment, when the leadership of the General Assembly is pretty skeptical about the public sector, when some of the public as a whole is somewhat skeptical about the public sector, it's going to be hard to get what we really want. But by reforming government, restructuring it, making people believe that government is a lot more efficient, I think Governor Wolf is setting the stage for the kinds of government and the kinds of reforms in fixing our broken upside-down tax system that we can make in the next couple of years, and that'll move us much closer to where we really want to be. We don't want government to be big just because we want government to be big. In fact, we don't always want government to be bigger. We want the government to work with nonprofit agencies to do a lot of the work in, say, providing human services, because they do incredibly good work, as do the county assistance offices, and they often work together. The goal is accomplishing what we really want: thriving communities, economic growth, moving people into jobs that pay better, that give them more responsibility, that are more fun for them to do. That's really the goal. And what we believe is that there's an important role for government to play in making that all happen. And we should disabuse people of some myths. Government in Pennsylvania has not been growing. It's actually shrunk. It shrunk in the corporate years, has not increased since as a percentage of GDP. We have the second lowest proportion of public employees to the whole set of employees in the entire country. Our tax take in Pennsylvania puts us down in the bottom half of all states. We underinvest in education, and that's why we have the most unequal schools, and too many of our kids in Pennsylvania go to inadequately funded schools. We are down at the bottom in terms of higher education spending, and we need to invest in those things, because when you spend money on education, you see people have an opportunity to move into the middle class or above. Businesses come in, because the thing businesses want much more than low taxes, they want really good employees, well-trained employees who are prepared to take on any task. And that's why we need those investments in education. And we need good roads and bridges and public transit. In some ways, we're not too bad in Pennsylvania in that area, but we have a lot of structurally deficient bridges. We have a lot of roads that need repair. If we fix them, then businesses can get their products to consumers and get their employees in the door, the best employees who will fit their particular needs, and that's what leads to economic growth. You look around the country, the states that have been cutting the public sector and cutting taxes, Louisiana, Kansas, their economies are down in the dumps. You look at the states that have been taxing people more at the upper income, investing more in the public sector. Look at Minnesota, look at California, their economies are growing. Which choice should we make? That's the question we're asking everyone who's seeing this video. Which kind of state do you want to live in? One that creates thriving communities by having the public goods we all believe in, or one that just keeps cutting taxes for corporations and the rich?